In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace your alternator. Let's get started. Let's disconnect the negative battery terminal. I will actually disconnect it on both batteries, but I'm just going to show you it on this one because it's the same procedure. You just go to the other side and do the same thing. So take an 8mm wrench and loosen up the terminal. Pull it up, out of the way, set it aside somewhere where it cannot make connection with the terminal. And then, like I said, you do the same to the other battery. To drain the coolant, you'll notice that on the front driver's side, you have a little drain plug with a Phillips head cut out for the radiator. So if you stick a screwdriver up here, turn it counterclockwise to loosen it, have a collection bucket ready to catch all the fluid. There you go. We'll just let that drain. At the top, we have to get rid of all these wires here and this hose that runs across. So pull it up, remove it from its retainer. Okay, move it out of the way. This right here is a vacuum hose. It's a small one, so be careful not to break it. Remove the main power wire. And remove this rubber piece. Next, I want to remove the upper radiator shroud, and to do that, I will just start over here and work my way to the other side. I want to get off anything that is bolted to it, such as this power steering fluid reservoir. Use an 8mm socket and remove both of the retaining bolts. Now you can push this away. To get a little bit more clearance for this reservoir, I want to take out the upper radiator hose. To do that, you need a pick or a pocket screwdriver. I'm going to choose a pick because it'll be easier. And with that pick, all you have to do is just pull out on this retaining clip. Make sure you don't lose it, because sometimes these go flying and you're going to want to save it. Looks like the clip can't come out completely, so I'm going to take out this 8mm bolt so I can kind of maneuver the shroud out of the way. There we go. Now I can take this out completely, wiggle the radiator hose, and break it free off of the radiator. Now be careful because this fitting is plastic, so you don't want to tap it with a hammer if it's stuck. Just work it back and forth. If you break this, you're going to need a new hose. Okay. This is pretty tight on here. Okay, try to get it off completely. Now back to this tank, pull up on it. It's just clipped into the upper shroud as a like a push down clip. So if you pull up on it, there we go, it unhooks and you can move it away. You also have this line that's attached to it. You could take it off. I'm going to try and see if it gives me more room. It might not, but I think it's worth a shot. That's pretty good right there. We'll leave all of this as is. I have my battery removed so you can see, otherwise I could not get you a clear shot. But if you look straight down underneath that power steering reservoir, you'll see this 8mm bolt, which holds the upper to the lower fan shroud. Get yourself a long extension, sneak a socket down there, and let's remove it. You're gonna have to block your view to take this out, but if you have a magnet, it's also a lot easier because you can come in from the top. There it is. Same on the other side, one bolt up top, one down there. This one will be easier to get to because there's no power steering reservoir in the way. On the back of the shroud, you also have this, which is bolted on with a 10mm bolt. Remove it. You could unplug it and disconnect the vacuum hose, but why disturb the connections when you can just remove the bolt, pull it out of the way, leave it connected, and push it aside. Now pull up on the upper fan shroud and you should be able to get it out of your way. There it is. Now from up top, you can see that as you spin the fan, it is actually not symmetrical all the way around. These blades right here are closer together, and if you keep spinning it, you'll get to a side that has a larger opening. That is called service mode, so that you can easily access the pulleys, the tensioner, and the belt without removing the fan assembly. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to find the largest opening here, keep spinning it until you have it. You'll notice that right here, there's a large opening down here, and then this one is kind of like medium sized, so that you can work through that one and see through this one. So I'm going to stop right here, That down there is our tensioner, and it'll take a 3/8 drive extension to twist it. Slide your extension in here. You want to push down on it, so clockwise. That's bottomed out right there. Then you can slide your hand in here and pull the belt off of whatever pulley you can reach. For me, I think it happens to be the idler up here. Yep, and now you can let go. Once you let go, watch out because your tool's going to come up higher than where you started. Remove it. Make sure you don't poke your radiator with your ratchet or any other tool that you might be using. Now you'll notice the wheel is off here. That is only for camera purposes. You can definitely do this with the wheel on. When you jack it up, or even without it jacked up, you will have definitely enough room to pull this fender liner out. But like I said, I only did this so that you can see what's happening with my arms in here. Having said that, let's take the fender liner off. You have some 5.5mm screws that go along. I have this fender flare here, but even if you don't have it, you will still have the 4 5.5mm screws that you have to remove to unbolt the fender liner from the fender itself. Take this off. Now I have a 10mm bolt over here. And at the very top, an 8mm. At the very front here, you'll have 2 more 8mm bolts. And at the back, a push clip that has a Phillips head cutout. A lot of times these don't work anymore, and you'll have to just pry them out forcefully. So it looks like mine still works. Okay, there it is. Now you can grab the fender liner, move it inward, and pull it straight out. And right there is our alternator. And the first thing I want to do is disconnect the 2 electrical connectors that go to it. So I'm going to grab this one first. A lot of times these are going to be stuck here from sand buildup. So let me grab some pliers. And with the help of these, very gently squeeze the connector and pry it out. Clean up the sand inside of it. I'm going to push this aside for now. Let's pop this boot off of here. This is going to be a 13mm. There it is. Now you can pull this connector off. Now we have 2 15mm bolts on the bottom and 1 15 on the top. I'm going to start with the top one, but I won't take it all the way out. I'm going to leave that one in a few threads after I break it free. And that is so that it can hold the alternator for me while I take the bottom ones out. I'll have an easier time reaching that top one at the end to break it loose than the bottom ones. Okay. There it is. Take the new alternator, slide it in. I'm going to stick the top bolt through. With that bolt through, go ahead and start it. And then once you do, the alternator will stay in place. You can put the bottom 2 in. Snug it up. And now let's torque it. 35 foot-pounds is the torque for all 3 of these mounting bolts. And 2. Last one. Now let's reconnect it. We'll put this back, make sure it clicks. And let's put the main power wire back. Make sure that there's no corrosion on it. So if you look at it, mine is actually slightly corroded a little bit. So I'm going to clean it up with some sandpaper. That way it has a nice clean area for it to make connection. Otherwise you'll have charging issues. There we go. That's nice and clean now. Fresh copper is exposed. So what we can do is slide it on, put the mounting nut on. When you do this, make sure you line it up properly. The alternator is slotted at the top here. so that the cable can fit in all the way. And you'll be supplied with a brand new mounting nut for the best connection possible. So put that on. It's still a 13 millimeter once you bottom it out by hand. Let's just tighten it up with the ratchet. The torque for this is 9 foot-pounds, but really you can't get a torque wrench in here just because of the angle. So make it nice and snug, but don't make it too tight because this brass stud here can actually break off internally. Give it a nice little snug. Get the ratchet off of here. If you wanted to, you can put some silicone paste in there to keep it nice and corrosion-free. Grab this boot, slide it over. This is important because this will keep debris and water out of here. So make sure it is fully seated around the whole mounting stud here. Okay, there you go. At this point, I'm gonna put all my harnesses back because I moved a lot of them out of the way, and you definitely want to make sure that these are not in the way of the belt. This one was supposed to be tied up here, but clearly the tape is broken. There we have it. Now we can put the fender liner back. Grab your fender liner, slide it in position, tuck it up behind the fender, or over the fender I should say. Okay, put this bolt at the back in first so I can lock it in place. And the one at the top. And the two at the front. I had my little push clip here. Slide that back in and lock it. Now if you had a fender flare, go ahead and slide it on, line it up. If not, just put on the mounting screws as is through the fender. Tighten it all up. Perfect. So here's the diagram on the screen of how the belt is routed. I'm going to speed up the process of me installing it because, to be honest, there is not a whole lot of room to see here. So having said that, I'm going to get to putting this belt on. Gonna sneak my ratchet in here so I can pry down on the tensioner. Release tension, slide the belt on, release your tool. Double check every single pulley at this point to make sure the belt is fully seated in all the ribs. It's centered up, which it is. All right, so at this point we can get our tool out of here. And that's it, belt is installed. Let's put this back, make sure it goes along the top of the radiator, and then the sides go around the AC condenser. This makes sure that all the air is directed into the coolers, not around them. I had some of the push clips missing, but just make sure you clip it in with any clips that you had. Let's put in the upper fan shroud now. I'm gonna slide it down on the driver's side first. There we go. Let's reconnect the upper radiator hose. Slide it on, make sure that this tab lines up, and push it in all the way. The slot in here, if you look closely, it lines up. So take that metal clip and put it right back in. It should seat itself down all the way like this. If it doesn't go down, that means the hose isn't fully seated, and as soon as it builds pressure, it's going to pop right off, if not leak right off the bat. So make sure it's in all the way and the clip seats itself down. Let's reattach this here, put the bolt back in, and tighten it up. Okay, now let's reattach the upper to the lower fan shroud. So as you can see on each side, there's a mounting bolt right there. I'm going to start with this one because it lines up perfectly. Nice and snug. Get the top one in. And let's do the other side. Okay, so this one was a little trickier. Stick a pry bar in here and kind of guide that lower shield in place, the lower fan shroud. All right, just make sure it's nice and tight. Do the same to the top one. Now bring the power steering reservoir up, and remember it has to slide up more than you think it needs to because it has to hook into the fan shroud down there. Tighten it up. Now to reconnect the battery, go ahead and slide it on the terminal, make sure it's bottomed out completely, and then take your 8mm wrench and tighten it up. Make sure it's nice and snug, but don't over tighten it. As long as you can't spin it, you're good to go. Now do the same to the other battery. Now let's fill up the cooling system, remove the cap off of your overflow, and pour in manufacturer specified fluid. If you don't know what that is, check your owner's manual. You'll notice that there's a cold fill range right here. This is what you're aiming for, so add coolant until you get to right about here, and then I'll run you through the bleeding procedure. Okay, as you can see, the level rose to right at the top of the full line, the cold full line that is, and I want to leave it here, not at the minimum of the fill, because there is still air in the system. As you can see, it's actively bubbling through this hose. So I'm going to let this sit for about 10 minutes. I'm going to clean up my mess, whatever I spilt here. I'll check it again, and then we will run the vehicle. If you want it to help the process along, you can massage the radiator hoses. As you can see, every time I do that, it bubbles up a lot. Now let's turn the truck on, turn the ignition to the on position, wait for the glow plugs to cycle, and there we have it, we're good to go. Perfect, starts right up. Now we want to come over to the HVAC controls, put the heat all the way on high, blower on medium, and we'll make it blow on the vents. That way I can feel the heat coming through as it warms up. We want to make sure that we get heat in the cab. If there is no heat coming in through the cab, that means your heater core still has air in it. Obviously, pay attention to your temperature gauge. It's not going to put out any heat until it warms up. But if you don't have heat in your cab and it's fully warmed up, you have air in the system. So shut the truck off, let it sit. Maybe you do another bleed procedure after that, and the air should go away. Pay attention to your coolant level. Right now it's here at the minimum line of the cold fill. Obviously, as it heats up, it's going to rise up. If you wanted to leave the cap open, go ahead, do it now while the engine's cold. Once it runs for 5 or 10 minutes, do not touch that cap, don't open it. It will be under pressure. Relieving the pressure will sometimes help push the air out, not always though. And once we shut it off and it's at full operating temperature, we'll come back here and make sure that the level hasn't dropped too far. If it has, we'll top it back off. All right, at this point, I have plenty of heat coming through the vents. It is not warmed up fully, but I am inside in a garage, so I'm gonna shut it off, pull it outside, take it for a test drive, make sure it gets nice and warm, and then come back and check the coolant level. So at this point, you can go ahead and take it for a road test, and you should be all set.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.